Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. Here's your daily dose of Fae. So unfortunately this channel's been really struggling lately, so hopefully we can bring it back soon. So let's start these stories with, embarrass me in front of my friends, I'll embarrass you in front of the airport. So my brother and I used to prank each other back and forth regularly a few years ago when I still lived at home. One day I'm sitting in my room hanging out with some friends when he walks in and says, "Look what I found under my brother's bed." He then proceeds to lift my mattress and reveal a dildo that he's left there earlier that day. Everyone gets a good laugh at my expense, and my brother makes a fatal error. He leaves said dildo in my possession. Fast forward a month and a half, my brother is on his way to see a friend on the other side of Canada. I slipped the dildo I've been holding onto in his carry-on right before he leaves the house. It was a gel one, so I also inserted a long steel rod inside in hopes that it would set off the alarm at the security and get him searched. A couple hours later, my phone rings. It's my brother. He's calling, still embarrassed, to let me know that I had won our war, and security had made him pull out the dildo in front of everyone. The best part was he was hitting it off with the cute girl in line behind him, who was taking the same flight. However, the conversation ended quite abruptly. See, this is why I would never want to get into some prank war, because you don't want enemies that are going to strike at any time. Alright, now we've got, entitled aunt expects my dad to pay for everything, and finally gets what she deserves. So, backstory. My dad is a doctor. His family was extremely strict on him, and only him. He was the oldest, and his father never liked him. This sort of strict punishment somehow led him to have a successful career and lifestyle. He lived with his two brothers, sister and mother, and father till he moved out of the house and went far away. Also, big reminder, all of these conversations below will be paraphrased into the basic meaning, as I either don't remember or it is too long to put in the story. So when my dad left his family to be with my mom, they didn't help him in any way possible. Whether it was financially or emotionally, they denied. Everything changed when he finally managed to get a medical degree, however. We finally managed to be well educated, left for a better home, and managed a successful life. I remember this one time when it all started. It was years ago, and I remember it went something like this. So my aunt says, "I've noticed that you've finally gotten your medical degree, right?" My dad says, "Yeah, we've managed to also get a new house, and things are going great. Thanks for asking." She says, "Oh, that's nice. So do you think you could give anything for your supporting family?" My mom is confused, but my dad speaks hesitantly. Maybe. How much do you need? I think I can help." She says, "Of course. As expected, any good brother should care for his family." This repeated several times. My dad ended up giving large chunks of money in the 10,000 ranges. During this time, his abusive dad left their grandma and went far away on his own into somewhere we don't know anymore. This caused my aunt to become even more spoiled, and messaged my dad something that went like this a few years ago. She says, "What the heck? Why have you stopped paying for our expenses? Don't you love your family?" My dad sees this as blinded by love for his family. Entitled aunt also uses their mom as an excuse for my dad to pay. This results in even more money going to them, and entitled aunt using it to buy lavish trips around the world for herself, instead of food or housing. She wastes roughly 25 to 50K, a 4-year food plan, in almost 6 months. So just about 3 years ago, my entitled aunt becomes married. I don't know how, but she did. Her husband wasn't in a good financial situation, and big surprise, she has a child. When her child is just a few years old, she wanted my dad to pay for his clothes, food, toys, babysitter, and almost even education, with all her money going to her, including her husband's money. This went on until now. My mom slapped some sense into my dad. I was on my mother's side, and convinced him to let them manage to handle themselves. My dad had a rough time deciding, but decided to stop giving my entitled aunt any more money. By this time, my entitled aunt was infuriated. She threatened to sue my dad from what I remembered. They said that they'd all die if he didn't help. She basically messaged my dad and mom saying this: "Why have you stopped paying for our financial situation?" My mom says, "You mean your expenses on expensive hotels and trips?" She gets mad at this and replies, "That's a lie. GM has helped him and she deserves the money. I'm not spending the money on anything expensive. I only use 4-star hotels, so it's fine." My mom says, "You're honestly just spoiled. That's it. This money was meant for you to spend on food. Unfortunately, you broke the boundary and spent it on yourself. We won't help you anymore until you learn your lesson. Good luck." She says, "You ungrateful jerks. You'll apologize for this." My traumatized dad wanted to help but managed to let it go. So far, we've never heard from her again, and I'm happy about it. I honestly hope she manages to get a better habit. Perhaps a job like my hardworking parents and be good with money. Sometimes my dad helps my grandmother pay for groceries, as he knows she won't waste it on treating herself. Now we live in a healthier life, one where entitled aunt doesn't control our lives. And now that he's stopped paying for her lifestyle, things have been way better, frankly. Well, yeah, that's a lot of money to just be throwing at somebody who just wastes it all. Also, why would you pay 50K up front if you were just trying to pay for their food? Of course they're not going to stretch that out. Sorry if it sounds like I'm losing my voice a little bit. I was just at a concert for 4 or 5 hours, so yeah, my throat kind of hurts. Alright, this one's called My AirPods Are Faulty. So I work in a technology store. AirPods are extremely high in demand at the moment. Because I'm a cashier, I process refunds for products. A customer comes up to the counter with his receipt, looking to refund his AirPods. For some context, when you connect AirPods to Bluetooth, they play a noise to show they've synced correctly. This sound is played through the earpiece, not out loud. I say, what appears to be the issue with the product? He says, the Bluetooth connected noise is no longer playing. I say, okay, cool. In order to refund you or replace you, I need you to replicate the fault for me. It is policy that I need to be able to see the issue with the product before I take any further action. He says, no worries. The customer proceeds to pull his phone out and his AirPods. Still in the case, he connects them to his phone. He says, see, the startup noise isn't playing. I say, sir, how are you going to hear the noise if you don't remove the AirPods from your case and put them in your ears? I remove the AirPods from the case and put one in my ear. I say, could you please disconnect your Bluetooth and reconnect it for me? He says, okay. The startup noise plays. I say, the noise is playing fine. There's nothing wrong with this product. Sorry, I can't refund you or replace unless I can replicate the fault. The dude forgot you need to put earbuds in your ear in order to hear the sound they produce. He also thought the seams were cracks. Man, when an Apple product is too complicated for you, I'm sorry to say this, but technology might just not be for you. Man, we got lots of big stories. This next one's called Entitled Mom Tries to Make Me Stand on a Bus in Crutches. So when I was a freshman in high school, I dislocated my kneecap. Normally this type of injury heals up really fast, but for some reason, in all 3 times I've done it, it's taken me months to heal. About 3 weeks after I injured my knee, I was taking a public bus to school. I sat in the very front reserved for disabled and elderly people. Now at the time I had just taken off my leg immobilizer, and was waiting on a knee brace to be ordered, so I had no brace on my knee and couldn't bend it at all. The only way you could tell I was injured was the fact that one knee was twice the size as my other, and I had crutches next to me. Enter the entitled parent. We'll call her Entitled Mom. She storms in on the bus, dragging her poor kid behind her. A 4 or 5-year-old boy who was fairly quiet during the incident. After she paid her fare, she sped up down the aisle and kicked my extended leg. Remember, I can't bend it. I cried out in pain and clutched my knee, and she scoffed. No apology or anything, just scoffed. Okay, fine. I just tell her not to worry about it, and she walks away further down the bus looking for a seat. She juts her head around like a chicken searching for a seat on this already full bus, and lets out a long exasperated huff before turning to look at me, and the single empty seat beside me. She approaches and asks, "Can my son use this seat beside you?" I nod my head and gesture to him to sit down. After he sat down, the entitlement began. She says, "So, when are you going to get up? I asked if my son could use that seat. Obviously, I need to sit next to him. He's too young to be alone." I say, I'm sorry, I can't really move. There's no more open seats, and I'm not really in the condition to stand. I point towards my crutches. But there's a standing bar right next to him you can use. She says, "Don't lie. I hit your leg earlier and you said not to worry about it. Can't you just stand up instead? I'm not stupid. I know those crutches are only up front for emergencies. They're not yours. You're just sitting up here sticking your legs out into the aisle to act injured. Go stand like everyone else your age. I swear, you teens are so entitled." I say, "Look, you can ask the bus driver whether or not I came onto this bus with crutches. My leg is out on the aisle because I can't bend it. I've spent the last few weeks in a leg immobilizer. Could you just leave me alone?" She says, "Okay, fine. But what happened to your leg anyway? It doesn't look injured at all." I say, "I dislocated my knee." Her face goes red, and she grabs my injured leg and tries to forcibly bend it. She realizes she can't because the joints are locked and pulls the stop wire. I scream out in pain, and the bus driver stops and walks over to where I'm sitting. He says he's heard everything but minded his own business because he didn't think she would get physical. When the bus driver abolishes her behavior, she turns into a sputtering mess. I wasn't part of this particular conversation because I was too busy ugly crying. He says, "What the heck did you think you were doing when you just assaulted a crippled child?" She says, "I thought she was lying. I've seen people dislocate their knee before. Her story didn't add up. It doesn't take that long to heal." He says, "So instead of calling her out, you decide to try and force her leg to bend? It's not up for you to decide if she's lying or not. Get the F off my bus." She says, "But I have to take my son to daycare. You can't just kick us off. We have places to be." "Okay, if you don't get off my bus right now, the only place you're going to be is in a jail cell." Her eyes went wide and she grabbed her kid, dragging him off with her out the back exit. The bus driver apologizes for not stepping in sooner and tries to calm me down. Through my tears, I told him not to worry and just start the bus again. The pain eventually subsided, but I spent the rest of the day icing my knee in the nurse's office. I never got an apology or a name, but I wish I could go back and press charges. People are seriously crazy sometimes. So, edit for clarity. This happened 7 years ago, so I doubt the bus company has any video surveillance still around. I never got her name either. Since then, I've dislocated my kneecap twice, every 2 years since the first time. Currently, I'm doing fine and being very careful to build muscle so it doesn't happen again. I'll post an update if I end up dislocating one again in 2020. Also, she couldn't bend my knee. She kept trying to force it, but a locked joint is a locked joint. It wouldn't budge, and I was too busy crying in pain to fight her off or beat her with my crutches. You know what they say, if someone's claiming to be injured, and you don't believe that they really are, the best way to call them out is to just start attacking them. Obviously, nothing could ever go wrong there. Alright, this one comes from Imagine the Internet. It's a user-submitted story called Ant Causes a Fight Between Two Asses. Okay, I meant the actual definition of ass, not the cuss word. So yeah, donkey. My aunt told this story, but I found it funny. So my mom and aunt live in a rural area of Texas. Cowboy country. I mean, if you see someone in cowboy boots and a hat, they're probably actual cowboys. There are long distances between towns and farm ranches everywhere. So soon after we moved, my aunt's car broke down. My aunt has AAA automotive assistance for those outside the US. She called them, and they told her it would probably be another hour before they were able to get out to her. So she did the sensible thing. She pulled up a folding chair out of her trunk, grabbed her hat and book, and sat down in front of a nearby fence to await AAA. There were 2 donkeys in the pasture behind this fence. They were very excited to see this human sitting near their fence reading a book and wandered over. One of them thrust his noses over the fence, and my aunt reached up absently and started scratching his chin. The donkey was enjoying it until the other got jealous and nipped him. Next thing Aunt knew it, they were chasing each other all over the pasture. Soon, the other donkey, the one who did the nipping, came over and stuck his nose over the fence for a scratch. Soon, he was nipped, and the chase resumed with the previous donkey winning. My aunt said this continued for the next hour until the AAA guy arrived. She said it was very entertaining, if unexpected. Man, I guess it's not just the dogs and the cats that get jealous about attention. Man, my cat gets jealous even when I have friends over. Anytime my friend comes over, my cat comes and just jumps on my lap to say like, hey, he's still mine. Stay away. Alright, and time for one more story before the question of the day, called Won't Swap Places Because Tickets Are Law. Enjoy your night smelling crap. So this happened when me and my 2 friends were traveling to another city in my country, with a quite old and slow night train. We bought tickets spontaneously and quite late, so we were divided into different compartments. Usually it's not a problem to come to an agreement with people to swap places with you. It's a quite common practice. The wagon had about 9 compartments, each has 2 top and bottom shelves. Me and one friend were in the compartment number 2, closer to the conductor's office. I don't know, this small room where they sit. And we were on the top and bottom shelves. And my other friend was in compartment number 9, top shelf. This other friend's compartment was next to the toilet room. The thing is that you usually wouldn't want to be in number 9 on these old trains, because in 90% of the cases it smells horribly all the way, because of the toilet. We wanted to ask someone from our compartment to swap with our friend, but it turned out we had a nice couple going with us, so it's us 2 who would have to move. So we haven't unpacked yet, as well as many of the passengers, and we went to visit our friend at number 9 and asked someone from the compartment to swap places with us, and we felt lucky as we saw that he had another couple with him, occupying top and bottom shelf. Just like us. Swapping should be easy, as we were further from the toilet and that's a huge perk. The conversation went as follows. I say, hey, we have a friend traveling here, would you mind swapping places with us? He has the same shelves as you do. This Karen says, no, get away from my compartment. Note that Nick is there, as well as another passenger. Then my friend Alex says, lady, please, it's further from the toilet and we'll be traveling together as a group. Nick says, yeah, please, if you would. The Karen's boyfriend says, listen, kids. We were all 22 or 23. Would you calm down, dang it? I paid for my tickets and we are staying just at the place we paid for. I'm not into some crappy bargains. I say, excuse me, but we're offering better spots just because we want to be with our friend. She says, I'm not falling for this. You probably have ticks in your pillows, or worse. My friend says, what? No, it's not that. We just wanted to have a chat, maybe play cards. The guy says, listen, F off with your BS. I paid, and I stay here. And you were supposed to stay at your shelves. It's the law when you buy tickets. Well, that escalated quickly. There's no such law, and no one cares, but okay. Her boyfriend made sure he called us morons a few times so we could hear it going back to our compartment. We were confused by such a negative reaction, as it's not something you come across. Usually people would politely decline and that's it. Our friend told us they were complaining to him about us. What a lovely couple. So fast forward a few hours and we're getting ready to sleep. Nick decides to pay us a visit. He comes and says that number 9 starts to smell like piss, because people have been using the toilet. We mock him and laugh about him having to spend the night with crappy people and also smelling crap. The nice couple that stayed with us at number 2 also laughed with us, as we befriended them and told them the story already. About 10 minutes pass as someone knocks on the door. We're a bit confused as to who it might be. We open the door and would you know it, the crap man is there. He says, you guys, we have thought about your offer and we think we'd like to accept it. My friend said, "You mean swap? When we have already unpacked?" He says, "Yeah, I'm sure it's fast and no problem, and my woman is unable to sleep there." He says, "Is it the smell?" He says, "Yeah, it's bad. She's sick because of it." I see my friend and I already feel what he's about to say. I hear the inner drums, preparing me for the moment. He says, "Sorry, man. We're all staying on the shelves that we paid for. It's the law." I made a walrus gulp and closed my face laughing. Nick chuckled in his hand, and the nice couple had that happy, shocked expression on their faces. Those a-holes ended up spending the night with the smell worsening with every hour. Nick also suffered there, but he said it was worth it, listening to Karen eat her man's brains out over her not being able to fall asleep. She tried to spray her perfumes around, but it only turned out to smell like a pile of crap on a flower bed. Dang, poor Nick over there. Has to deal with the crappy smell and the crappy people. I mean, if there's anything you can learn from this, it's like, don't be grumpy to people. I mean, even if you're in a bad mood, at least try to be pleasant. Okay, let's move on to the question of the day, which is, what is a problem in 2019 that would not be one in 1989? Being left the F alone. Used to be you could disappear for the day and nobody was getting a hold of you until you came home. I still have no problem being left alone. But yeah, when it comes to phones and stuff, people are always trying to contact you. Waiting in line to go through airport security. You know, I was too young when 9/11 happened for me to ever be able to fly before that. So, unfortunately, I never got to experience the casual just going through the airport. Kids under 10 years old being out and about with no adult supervision. Now, this is one that I definitely do miss. It used to be that kids could just go out, get dirty, get in trouble, have fun, and just go out exploring and adventuring. But now, kids just sit at home on their iPads or on their cell phones, or, you know, it's kind of making kids just grow up being so sheltered now. Trying to retire comfortably on $1 million. I mean, obviously $1 million is still a lot of money, but if somebody just handed me $1 million, I don't think I could live on that for the rest of my life. I mean, with how expensive, like, housing and everything is getting these days, I mean, $1 million doesn't really go that far. Having millions of people you've never met actively trying to dig up dirt on you and genuinely ruin your life because you said the wrong thing. Yeah, the internet has become both a blessing and a curse. I feel like we're only moving towards a dystopian future where everything we've ever said will always be held against us. But what do you guys think? Is there something from the year 1989, or just that period in general, that you miss in particular? I feel like electronics have made our lives easier, but it's also made it a lot more complicated and more difficult. And I kind of just miss the simpler times. Anyways, that does it for today, so hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Assuming I still have any viewers by tomorrow.